Let's talk now, though, to David McKelvey, because he's a former Metropolitan Police Detective, Chief Inspector and CEO of TMI and My Local Bobby. One of the big stories on the front pages today, on the front page of the Times, is apparently Keir Starmer is asking police forces around the country and all authorities to be as transparent as possible following the scandal in Warwickshire, where the police there basically withheld information about two suspected migrants, suspected rapists, actually, migrants who have been charged with the alleged rape of a 12-year-old girl. They deliberately did not release information about their immigration status or their ethnicity. David, very good morning to you. Hello, David, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks very much indeed. I'm not sure about Keir Starmer asking for transparency here. There seems to be some confusion about what the police are required to do. They say there's no such guidance that tells them that they have to release the ethnicity and the immigration status of people who are being charged or being questioned. But since when has that been the case?
Well, I think that's the guidance that's come out from the policing college. But of course, you know, you have recently had the Merseyside incident where the car ran over people in Liverpool. Yes. And of course, Merseyside police were very, very quick to come out and identify that the suspect in that was English white man. Yeah. So I think it's you know, it's a case by case basis, and you understand why Warwickshire, completely understand why Warwickshire do not want to release that information, because you know, there's a lot of anger out there, and potentially it could lead to disorder. Yes,
but I mean, eventually these things always become known, and unfortunately, with what we saw in Southport last year, the result of not releasing information, and I think a KC who investigated it and did a sort of inquiry into what happened in Southport, said that the actual non-release of information was what led to the disorder. So you sort of can't have it both ways, can you? Either you say that there's going to be disorder if you do release information, or you say there's going to be disorder if you don't. Maybe Absolutely. There's just always going to be disorder as long as you've got people in the country who are coming in and committing crime.
Absolutely. I mean, it was Baroness Casey, wasn't it, in the 2025 audit, who said that professionals were avoiding uncomfortable truths, right, and reinforcing the pattern of non-disclosure to avoid racism. But the fact is that people aren't stupid. The public have lost faith, they've lost trust, and you know, most people get their information now from social media. Right. And if you just look at social media, it is absolutely awash with anger. There's a real problem out there, and policing, unfortunately, has lost or is losing the trust of the public very, very quickly. Yeah. And I mean, the bare bones of all of it, really, is the fact that we've got loads of people living in conditions which people rather resent, you know, living in these hotels or being given accommodation for free, being brought into this country. And I realise that's not a police matter, that's a political matter, but that's the cause of the problem at the end of the day. We're not saying that every single migrant is a potential criminal, but the fact is that that's, you know, it's easy to see that there's a lot of crime being committed by an awful lot of those people. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and don't lose sight in, you know, the fact of this is there is a 12-year-old girl who has been kidnapped, strangled and raped. And, you know, these two men who are suspected of doing this are at court in August. You know, the big question is, you don't just arrive and suddenly go out, rape, kidnap and strangle a little girl. Who are these people? And that's the problem. We do not know who these people are who are coming into our country. You know, they get rid of their passport, they hide their ID. We don't know whether they're terrorists. And as we can now see, you know, from this incident and an incident near to where I live in Epping, we are having an inordinate amount of migrants committing serious crime. Yeah. And a lot of it is being covered up.
Yes. And so, you know, that is a recipe for public disorder, if ever I saw one.
Absolutely, yeah, and the public aren't stupid, as I said. You know, they know what's going on, and you know, it's building up everywhere you go now. It's a sole source of conversation, and policing has got to work out which side of the line it sits. Yeah.
Because unfortunately, we've still seen the police outside of hotels in places like Epping, in Canary Wharf, up in Clerkenwell as well, down in Waterlooville. You know, they look as if they're kind of, you know, more about protecting the livelihoods of the migrants than the people who are demonstrating.
Well, I don't think it's those at the coalface. You know, those at the coalface are doing the job.
They're stuck in the middle. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. It's unfortunately it's those above them who are making political decisions, many of whom have never actually been police officers, never actually policed the streets, and they follow the government rhetoric and narrative. Those poor officers on the front line, really, they're in an unenviable position.
Yeah, they are. And they've been put there by the government, unfortunately. But listen, David, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. David McKelvey, former Metropolitan Detective Chief Inspector and CEO of My Local Bobby. The problem here, it seems to me, is pretty clear. It's the fact that the government have brought all these people in and have put them up in hotels in the middle of communities and allowed them to wander about freely where they can do whatever the hell they like.